AITA for telling my sister-in-law that she's not on the same level as my wife. Full update included. My wife Ava, fake name F, 28, and I am 30, just had our first set of kids, a pair of twin boys. We had met and dated throughout college, and after graduation, got married in a simple ceremony. My wife is a nurse, and I am an engineer. My wife is the quiet type, especially in large social gatherings, and very petite. I think that will be important later. Honestly, I'm not much different, and that's how we hit it off, because our friend groups dragged us to a party we didn't really want to be at. That said, one-on-one or with a patient, she is very, very warm and all smiles. We tried for over a year to get pregnant. My swimmers weren't doing their job. So we were thrilled to become parents, and finding out it was twins was even better. My wife's sister, F, 25, on the other hand, is a piece of work. She relies on guys to fund her lifestyle. She jumped from guy to guy or scams them online. If I had proof of the catfishing or scams, I would report it. She has no education past high school. She's trying to become an Instagram influencer, but only has about 100 followers. She is constantly trying to make it rich quick and still lives with her parents. No hate on this part. It's just to show how financially irresponsible she is. She buys designer everything and eats out all the time. We waited until the boys were a few weeks before we let anyone come over. My wife had to recover, and she just wanted to bond with our boys uninterrupted. Anything for her. I had to beat my mom back with a stick, not literally, but it was worth the piece. I wanted only one set of family at the time, so we didn't get overwhelmed and suggested her parents first. Her parents brought her sister. Now up to this point, her sister had been super interested in the pregnancy and helped throw the baby shower. She would drop off my wife's snacks and things if she mentioned a craving. Overall, it seemed like a turning point for them because before the pregnancy, their relationship had been strained. Childhood competition, fighting over who dated who first, ECT. I went to the kitchen to make lunch while they sat and chatted. Her sister came in to help. I thought. She set up plates and things and started asking about the labor the last couple of weeks, ECT. I thought she was trying to let me vent or find more ways to be helpful, but I told her everything was going pretty smoothly. She made the comment, too bad she's ruined now. I heard she ripped from her V to her A. That won't be pleasing to look at. Now it is true there was some tearing, but considering her size and the size of the boys, I don't think it's too uncommon. I just looked at her and asked why she would say something so disrespectful about her sister. She told me it's just the truth and that I would realize ugly scars down there would be a total turnoff. She then leaned across the table and did that thing girls to make their boobs look bigger by crossing her arms under them and squeezing and said, I know you only really wanted her as a mother because of the nursing thing, and went on about how much happier I would be with someone more on my level. I told her in no uncertain terms that she wasn't anywhere near my level, and she could forget ever reaching my wife's level. I told her that being a swindler and not respecting herself online and guys didn't make her this hot and attractive thing she thinks she is. It's actually sad to watch because everyone knows she can do so much better and would be great at whatever she put herself to, but she chooses deadbeats who would pay for her photos instead. I told her my wife worked until 8 months while pregnant with twins, how she does volunteer work for the animal shelter, how she still fusses over me even though we now have the boys, and how just amazing I really think she is. I told her she could never even scratch at the level my wife is on, so to take her weirdness out of my house. And I just walked her out. I pulled the parents aside and explained what happened, then sent them the kitchen video of it, because we have indoor cameras in the common areas for security. Kitchen, facing the back door, living room facing the front door, hallway and stairs. They were livid, but at me. They stormed out for disrespecting their younger daughter in a way that made her cry. After showing my wife, she thought I was a little harsh in shutting her down, but was so thankful I made her leave and stood up for her. My SGL and her parents are demanding an apology. I'm not going to apologize. Update 1. Bloody hell. I did not expect this kind of response. I tried to keep up with the comments, but I immediately started on the issues addressed by the first few comments, as well as the immediate fallout. I want to thank everyone who took the time to respond and give me great ideas for how to respond to the demands for apologies. This warmth and support made me feel like I did something right. A few things to touch on before the update. I saw a few recurring questions in my DMs and comments. 1. Yes, my wife does animal shelter work. I am very allergic to cats, and she has a deep fear of dogs. I've suggested birds or rabbits, but she says there is special care for them and worries we won't do it well. 2. I did not mean to slut shame my style, but I guess that's how it came across. I just thought it was laughable that she wanted to try anything with me, of all people, when I know the game she plays with guys. She will scam older men out of gift cards online and string them along with pictures, so they keep giving her money. She never meets up with them despite all the promises to do so. 3. I work from home and make a very decent living. That said, because of my wife's direction, we have bought a house, put money into savings, and paid off almost all of our student loans. I think Estelle wants what we have, small weekend getaways, a basement gym, and a small flower garden in the front. We aren't living it up, but it is better than her bedroom at her parents'. My wife doesn't usually creep on my Reddit, but she listens to the AITA subreddit from this one guy, so my friend suggested here. I doubt she knows this spot. 5. Keeping the family away for a couple weeks was not a power trip. They all met them at the hospital. She wanted time to recover and spend with the babies without having to play host, keep the house clean with extra people, and neglect her own needs. They're also her first kids, so this has been a lot for her. If you think wanting Sos to heal and bond is a power trip, you need some reflection. Is your family so toxic they wouldn't let you rest after something as huge as childbirth? Or your partner? 6. I think my wife has a great shiny spine. She tends to bite. Not literally. She has been having a lot of emotional issues since the birth, so I think she was numb to what happened. Shock, maybe, but I did find her crying about it that night. Update 2. After they left, I took a couple hours before posting because I felt I made my wife upset, and I hate doing that. Apparently in that time, my wife and I were blocked from my SGL social media, and I was blocked by her parents. By the time I posted, I missed like 40-some calls and messages. I assumed it was her parents still bugging about the apology or her texting to call me names. I went downstairs to find my wife in tears because someone has the gall to be screaming down the phone at her. It was her uncle. I took the phone, shouted him down until he explained what he heard. Apparently, SIL immediately went around claiming I was a disgusting pig who touched her inappropriately and said all the terrible things SHE had said. And he was pissed at my wife for defending me. I cut the call and sent the video to him. I tried to check her accounts and found I was blocked. My wife tried and found she was blocked. I checked my phone, and all the ignored noise was various family members on her side. I didn't bother calling them. I just sent the video to each and every one of them, then posted it to all of my accounts and tagged her and her parents. I used my wife's phone to post it to her parents' account with her permission. I sat down with my wife to ask what she wanted to do, but she just started crying. Eventually, she said she hated them and started to cry even more. Clearly, she wasn't in the headspace to make decisions that affected anything long-term, so I suggested we just go no contact temporarily, and after some time discuss if we make it permanent or not. She agreed. I suggested therapy, thank you everyone, because I would not have thought about this myself. She was hesitant, but after a bit of pushing, she agreed. I didn't bully about, just pointed out this all was terrible, that she went through so much, and that while I can listen and snuggle her, I'm not unbiased, and I don't have all the tools a therapist would. She doesn't seem depressed, but all the crying is getting to me. I hate seeing her like this. I asked that we change to locks and add a few more cameras outside. She agreed. I asked if she wanted me to tell my parents they can't have a key or need to wait a few more days to visit, but she said they can come and can have a key. My mom and wife don't always see eye to eye, but tend to team up against me. The noise died down by dinner time, but there were almost no apologies. A few cousins apologized to my wife and her aunt. I told our friends what happened, and they brought over my wife's favorite dinner and my favorite snacks. Her BFF stayed the night. My one friend suggested getting a lawyer involved for the attempted slander. He knows a guy, and I now have a meeting with him. I didn't tell my wife. I just want to see what the options are. She needs some rest before we really do anything. My parents are over now, and I slipped away for the update. My mother offered to stay for a few days to cook and clean. I think my wife might accept it. She showed us how to swaddle the boys and gave us all these warning against juice and bottles at bedtime when they are older because it could rot their teeth. It started a whole conversation about no cereal and milk bottles because of chalking hazard and other things. I think the baby talk has taken her mind off things. Her BFF has been playing a weird mix of guard dog and mama bear to my wife, and I'm glad she has the support. The BFF checks and screens the calls or messages before letting my wife see anything. If it's terrible, she has permission to send the video, and this is all at my wife's request. She doesn't want to face hate from her family right now. I managed to get screenshots of the post from friends. I had those same friends creep their profiles this morning, and the posts have been removed. Apparently, it turned into a bloodbath in the comments, going from support to outrage at being lied to. We got a few more apologies, and these sounded sincere, and they admitted they were too ashamed to talk to us yesterday after the video was sent. I've still banned the rest of her family from visiting until further notice. It's info die time for them as well, until we know who won't feed pictures or info to those 3 horrible people. My wife blocked her sister this morning from her phone, but I'm leaving them unblocked, so if they try anything, I have proof. I think that's it. Unpleasant. I knew they favored SIL, but didn't realize it was that much. I'm going to help my wife find a therapist in the next few days. Any questions, I will try to answer.
AITA for telling my father's girlfriend that the more she talks about Jesus, the less she'll see my child? For context, I, 26F, come from a Catholic family, but my parents decided not to raise me and my siblings as such. My father due to a crisis of faith he had years ago, and my mother because she hated practicing it. We were all baptized, for our grandparents' sakes, but nothing beyond that. We never prayed, didn't have any first communions, and didn't read the Bible. I didn't even set foot in a church until I was 14. I'm very grateful for that upbringing. Today, I'm agnostic and I don't have a great relationship with the church. My husband's family is also Catholic, but he doesn't practice it. Our first child was born earlier this month, and we decided to raise him without religion. Neither of our extended families cared much, but we've been having some trouble with a few people over it. My father has been dating a Christian woman for 6 years. I'll admit I don't like her, but I don't dislike her either. Before I got pregnant, she wasn't the preachy type to me at least. She wasn't happy when I told her I was agnostic, but didn't try to change my mind. She did talk about her religion a lot and kept trying to get my father to engage with it frequently, but not much beyond that. Soon after I announced my pregnancy, my husband and I had dinner with my father and his girlfriend, during which she told us she knew the perfect place for the baptism. We said we weren't planning on baptizing our baby. And from that moment, she got annoyingly preachy to me and my husband. It was mostly indirect stuff, such as giving the whole family speeches about how glad she was to have Jesus in her life, but some were impossible to mask as unrelated. She gave me a decorative cross for the nursery on my baby shower, tried to make us all say grace during Christmas dinner, which we've never done before, with or without her, and kept bringing up a priest friend of hers who just so happened to also do baptisms. My husband and I stood by our decision. Fast forward to now, our baby was born a couple weeks early. He was pretty much full term, but we were all still worried. He's perfectly healthy, and we're all doing well. Yesterday, my father and his girlfriend came over to see the baby. While I was telling them about my labor and how it was at the hospital, she told me she had been praying for us the whole time, and that we should all praise Jesus for giving us such a beautiful blessing as my son. Unrelated to her previous preachiness or not, I lost whatever patience I had. I said, you know what? I'm done. The more you talk about Jesus and religion and whatever, the less you'll see my child. She was quiet the rest of the visit. After they left, my father called me. He told me he understood I was frustrated, but I shouldn't have been so rude to his girlfriend. He told me her intentions were pure, and she was only behaving like this because of how important religion was to her. I don't think I'm in the wrong for my feelings, but I am worried I was too rude. Update. Hey folks. Update time. This might get a little long. I showed my post along with your comments and my replies to my husband. He told me he agreed I had been rude to my father's girlfriend, but thought she had pushed me to the point in which I had no other choice. He was actually surprised I lasted so long without saying anything. For the record, I'm not opposed to religion, or to Catholicism. I have religious friends, I've seen God spell, and I've visited churches without catching fire. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been to was the Metropolitan Cathedral in Brasilia. I've managed to endure preachiness for short periods of time. I'm just not religious. There are many reasons why I don't have a good relationship with the church, most of which I'm not comfortable sharing. I will say that I have been agnostic since I was a teenager, and people have been trying to tell me I'm wrong and I need to be Christian or Catholic for longer than that. I also live in a very religious country, which never helped my case. I have always loathed people who obsessively preach about their faith to others. I find it incredibly disrespectful and hypocritical. I wouldn't run around telling people what I think as an agnostic, and I expect my acquaintances to do the same. Sometimes, you need to be an asshole to get your point across. I wish I'd understood that sooner. I think I downplayed how stressful it was to deal with my father's girlfriend's behavior during my pregnancy. Everything happened a lot quicker than I expected. On Monday, my older brother informed me our father and his girlfriend had told him about what happened, apparently expecting him to take their side. He took mine, and they ended up having a short fight. I decided to sort this out with my father before it also extended to my sister. A couple days ago, my husband and I called my father and his girlfriend to talk about the subject. I told her that as much as I appreciate how much she seems to care about our son, both me and my husband are uncomfortable with the way she's been trying to push her faith onto our family. We don't want to raise our son, as well as any other kids we have in the future, with religion, and we expect the people who will be part of his life to respect that. I told her that moving forward, we wouldn't accept any religious gifts, crosses, Virgin Mary figurines, etc., wouldn't entertain any attempts to make us pray or say grace, and would shut down any speeches about accepting Jesus into our hearts. My husband counted 7 in December alone. No more hinting that we should baptize our child, either. She is free to pray for us if she wants, but we don't want to know about it. We will respect her faith as long as she respects our boundaries. She remained quiet while I said all of this. When I finished, she asked, "Can't you at least put the cross I gave you in his room?" Not gonna lie, that was one of the most frustrating things I'd heard someone say to me in a while. My husband nearly lost his patience. I replied with, "This is exactly what we're talking about. No." The answer has always been no, and will always be no. And if you keep refusing to accept that, we will restrict your access to our son. It's that simple. We didn't talk much after that. She apologized, and we said we forgave her. Then we said our goodbyes. Later that day, my sister went to their place, and she said my father's girlfriend was very quiet and seemed upset. My father called me on his own yesterday, and we talked a little more about this. He did try to defend his girlfriend a bit, and if I had a coin for every time he said it's just how she is, I'd be very rich, but he mostly focused on apologizing to me. I accepted it. His girlfriend also texted me with another apology. She sounded more sincere this time. I told her I don't want her to think I'm doing this out of disrespect for her religion. I simply don't share her beliefs. She told me she understood. And this is it. I don't think this is over, but I feel like I've wasted more than enough energy for now. Part of me is still hopeful this will die its own death. Unless my father's girlfriend tries holy waterboarding me sometime soon, I won't update again. My son is happy, healthy, and loved. That's all I care about right now. Thank you guys. I wish you all well. AITA for telling my dad he chose between me and his fiancée when he prioritized her surgery over mine. I, 17F, have had a rocky relationship with my dad. My parents married after I was born, hoping to provide a stable family for me, but they divorced when I was 11 after my dad went to rehab, and things only worsened from there. During rehab, he met his current fiancée, and they later had a kid, 6F. Since then, my dad has been mostly absent from my life. Whenever I have important events, he either has an excuse or doesn't show. I'd estimate he's been present for less than half of my events since their divorce. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, and initially, surgery wasn't needed. However, my condition got worse, and I was finally scheduled for surgery on November 20th of this year. I told my dad about it months ago, expressing how much I needed his support this time, and he promised he'd be there. But later, he texted to say he planned a vacation that would keep him away until mid-December, just as my recovery period would be ending. It broke my heart, but I accepted it. Then, 2 hurricanes hit his vacation spot, and he told me he'd make my surgery. I felt a glimmer of hope. But then, just a week before my surgery, he texted again saying his fiancée's lung cancer surgery had been scheduled for the same day, a few hours before mine, at a hospital 30 minutes away. He said he might not make it to my surgery, but with him, might not usually means won't. He added that this wasn't about who he loved more. That message shattered me. I realized that no matter how much I hoped, he might never give me the attention and support I needed. I broke down on my kitchen floor that day. After sitting with my feelings, I texted him to tell him how deeply his actions hurt me. I said it wasn't only about love but about showing care, and that he'd given me hope only to let me down again. I questioned if his fiancée's surgery had really been scheduled last minute, or if he had known earlier but hadn't told me. I asked him to show he was my dad through his actions, not just his words. He responded, insisting the surgery was only scheduled the day he'd told me. But because he's lied in the past to save face, I reached out to someone who might know the truth. I then sent a follow-up message, clarifying that my frustration wasn't with his fiancée, it was with his ongoing absence and lack of support. I said that even if his reasons were genuine, he could have at least shown some empathy. I told him I hoped he'd be a better father for my half-sister than he has been for me. In a final message, I made it clear that I was done putting in all the effort to maintain our relationship on my own. I told him that if he wanted to be my dad, I would gladly be his daughter, but if he chose not to, I would be fine with that too. He hasn't responded, and honestly, I'd prefer he sit with what I've said. For once, I hope he really thinks about his actions and the impact they've had on me. Mini Update 1. Hello, Redditors. Here is my update. First of all, thank you for your support. All of your opinions mean the world to me and really opened my eyes to this. Here are some questions I was asked, and here's what I can answer. His child is in school / he has to take care of her. No, not really. She is homeschooled and doesn't know how to spell, but that is problem is for another day. His bio mom, my mama, can take her to and from the 2 hospitals. However, I asked that she come the day after or the next. What stage is her cancer / more defined timeline? I don't remember ever being told what stage her cancer is. In October 2023, my dad told me she had a tumor in her lungs, but didn't say the stage. I don't know how the law works with who gets a say for her surgery, but the fiancé has a great relationship with her parents, ex-husband, adult daughter, and siblings. As far as I know, he doesn't tell me SHD. This was planned as of the day he texted me, and they had the option to choose the day before, but the doctor pushed them for my surgery day. You have your mother for decision-making. I don't need my dad for those decisions. I need him at my surgery, so I could have a cushion and reassurance he would be there for me. He could still very well make it. Yes, that is a chance. It's fine if he doesn't. When he gets called out for mistakes or yelled at, he shrivels and goes cold. He probs won't. I told his fiancée good luck, and the person I talked to says he is saying the truth. I have nothing else for you. He hasn't responded yet. Update 2. Hey guys, been a while. Thanks for your love. I've been dragging my feet on an update, but here it is. Surgery recovery has been great. I've been in therapy since 12, so my therapist knows everything about my dad. Can I just say it's weird seeing my story posted on other apps with Subway Surfers and Woodwork? Love that people think my dad is a sperm donor and not a dad across all platforms. Senior night is on Valentine's Day, which I've told him weeks in advance, saying, games start at 7 usually, but I would get at the school 30 minutes early, since we will probably do it before the game. I texted his mama, to ask him if he was going, and he texted her, oh, I never got a date. She doesn't tell me anything bullshit. I told her I'll go and see if he doesn't go, and I will go, I'll see if he does go. If he wants to know, he can fucking ask and write it in his calendar. I told my mom to stop staying neutral and tell me why he acts like this. The relationship is almost ruined, so there is no point in her trying to save it. He likes to play victim, try to make it sound like my mom doesn't want him around, uses it as an excuse to make him look like a good guy. I've seen text messages when I was younger of my mom trying to get my dad to make an effort. I showed her the first post, so I'll send her this one too. Hi mom, the Kindle had screenshots of some convos Eiley. I saw them in August when I found it, so I knew for a while. I see my mom in a new light now. She will be walking me down the aisle, and my first dance. She sacrificed so much of herself for me. She is not only mom, but my dad. For non-Americans, senior night usually involves seniors and chosen people to walk them across the floor. My dad walked me down for my fall senior night, but he will not be one of my people this Friday. I am desperate to keep contact with my sister. I know Mama will help me with that. I know that if Fiancée and Dad break up, he will do the same thing to my sister. Friday came and passed. My dad got PSSY when he realized I didn't want him to walk me across the gym floor. He, along with Mama and my sister, left during halftime. We did the walk before the varsity game, and pep band can't leave the stands until third, same as marching band, plus Mama has been to previous basketball games along with football games. I left Dad a long voicemail and message Friday for leaving, especially since my sister begged to see me, and he refused her. I told Mama I was disappointed that she left when she knew what happens at games. Monday, I finally sent him boundaries and blocked him. I know I'm going to cry later. This is going to be hard for me. Thanks for your support. It means a lot to me throughout this journey. AITA for refusing to let my sister bring her kids to my wedding, even though she says it's unfair. I, 28F, am getting married next month, and I've been planning this wedding for almost a year. My fiancé, 31M, and I both agreed we wanted an adults-only event, mostly because we envisioned a more formal evening. Also, the venue is small and very upscale, not really the best place for young kids to be running around. The problem is my sister, 32F, who has 2 kids, 5 and 7. When I first mentioned the no kids policy, she didn't seem too upset, but as we got closer to the wedding, she started dropping hints about how hard it would be for her to find a sitter. I totally get that it's tough, but I did offer to pay for a local sitter to stay with her kids at her hotel for the night, so she could attend the wedding without worrying. Well, she didn't like that suggestion. She says it's unfair because our other sister's wedding, 3 years ago, was family-friendly and allowed kids. But at the time, our niece and nephew were much younger and quieter. At this age, they're really energetic and love running around, and they tend to get cranky at night, which isn't what I want on my wedding day. It's become a big point of contention. She's now saying that if her kids aren't invited, she's not sure if she'll attend, which honestly hurts a bit. My mom have told me it is our choice, since we are the ones getting married, and I feel like I've been flexible and offered a good solution, but she's making me feel guilty for not bending this rule for family. So, AITA for sticking to the no kids rule and potentially making my sister feel unwelcome? Edit. So, a lot of people have asked if I know the sitter, and I do. She lives in our neighborhood and has sit at a lot of our neighbors' kids. She is a very responsible young woman, around 22 to 24, can't remember her exact age. I do of course understand that my sister might not be comfortable leaving the kids to a person she does not know, but I just wanted to offer her a solution. Her husband also has a family who I don't think would have anything against sitting the kids for one night, but I will let her decide if she wants to show. I just hope she does, since I do care about her and would love to have her there. Another reason we don't want kids there is because there is an open bar, and we don't want kids and drunk people around each other, and my fiancé's family loves to party with a nice amount of wine and beer. Thank you for all the nice words and advice. I will give an update after the wedding, and we will be keeping the no kids rule, but we are thinking about letting kids be there for the ceremony, like some people should. Update. Sorry it has taken so long to write the update. To be honest, I totally forgot about my post. Between the wedding, the honeymoon, and the family drama, it just slipped my mind. But better late than never, right? Well, the wedding happened, and let's just say it wasn't without its moments. Buckle up, because this is a ride. So after the last post, me and my now husband decided to allow kids at the ceremony, but kept the reception adults only. My sister was thrilled, but said she would figure something out. I took that to mean she was actually going to find someone to take the kids after the ceremony. Huh. Cute of me to assume. And it's not like I don't like my nephew and niece. They're adorable and sweet when we babysit them, because they know we set rules. But when my sister is there, they don't listen to anything cause she and her husband lets them do whatever they want. The ceremony was beautiful. My niece and nephew had their iPads, so they were still and well behaved, and for a moment, I thought everything would go smoothly. How naive I was. After the ceremony, me and my newlywed husband stayed to take some more photos, and then we moved to the reception. Guests were already mingling, drinks were being poured, and I was feeling great. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw my sister, her husband, and the kids. I thought she was just waiting for someone to come pick them up and didn't think much of it. Then about 20 minutes later, my nephew bolted across the room and in between tables, nearly colliding with my stepfather. I looked at my maid of honor, and we both walked over to my sister. Keeping my voice low, I reminded her that the reception was adults only. She sighed dramatically, like I was personally ruining her life, and said, "We couldn't find a sitter last minute, so we'll just keep them for a little while."
No.
I calmly told her that I had given her multiple options, including a fully vetted, well-recommended sitter and her own in-laws, but she thanked no to the sitter and apparently didn't ask her in-laws. She just shrugged and said, "Well, we're already here, and they're behaving fine." At that exact moment, glass shattered. My heart dropped. The entire room went dead silent. I looked around trying to figure out what happened, and saw my aunt, God bless her, I love her so much, lifting my nephew and handing him over to my stepdad. He was fortunately okay. He didn't step in any glass, because my lovely aunt were close enough to control the situation. My dad and husband cleaned all the glass up. Apparently my nephew had been crawling under the tables and must have pulled the tablecloth by accident, making a plate and a few glasses fall and shatter. Thankfully nobody got hurt, and the glass got cleaned up. My maid of honor helped find some new glasses and a plate. And when the chaos was taken care of, I went back to my sister and told her she needed to get the kids home.
Now.
And she
Lost.
her
Mind.
My sister started yelling. She said stuff like, "I can't believe you're choosing a stupid rule over your own family. You're being a total bridezilla, and you're literally kicking out your own niece and nephew like they're stray dogs." At this point, people were staring. My husband came over to back me up, and my sister's husband came to calm her down. She said she couldn't drive them home since she had already had something to drink. My brother-in-law, her husband, said he would drive them to his parents' place. She got even more mad and said that she couldn't leave her kids just to be at a wedding. My mom then told her that she could leave to then. My sister stormed out, while muttering about how I was selfish and heartless. My BIL, her husband, just stood there looking so embarrassed before awkwardly getting their kids, apologizing to me and my husband, and then following her out. The rest of the night went really nice. We had so much fun, and it was just a genuinely good night. My husband and I took a taxi to our hotel around 3. The party didn't end till around 5 or 6, but we were tired and just decided it was enough for us. We fell asleep right away, and it was honestly the best sleep ever. I thought the drama was over, but nah, that would be too boring, right? Honestly, I wouldn't mind some boring moments. The next morning, I say morning, but it was after 1 p.m. We were both pretty hungover and decided to just order some pizza since we didn't want to go down to eat with a whole lot of people in the cafe down in the hotel restaurant. I checked my phone while he ordered pizza and saw my mom had written me to not pay attention to the post. She would take care of it. I was so confused and didn't know what she was talking about, but then I saw my sister's post on Facebook. My sister had posted a full-on rant about how I humiliated her in front of everyone and made her choose between her kids and her family. She claimed I was targeting her for having a fancy wedding and excluding her kids, and she heavily implied that I had disinvited her because I hated being an aunt and hated her kids. Some of our distant relatives, who weren't even at the wedding, started calling me out. One of my cousins commented, "Wow, some people take weddings way too seriously. It's just one night." Luckily, my God-sent mom and dad were not having it. They had both jumped into the comments to set their record straight, saying I had given her plenty of options, and she was fully aware of the rule months in advance. I literally offered to pay for a sitter that she refused to use. I didn't want to get into it, and just turned off the phone. A few days after the wedding, my BIL, my sister's husband, called me to apologize. He admitted that he had begged my sister to either accept my offer of a sitter or leave the kids with his parents, but she refused because she thought I'd cave at the last minute. He was mortified by how she acted and told me he had no idea she was going to make a scene like that. Apparently, they got into a huge fight about it afterward because he was embarrassed that she made a huge scene. I didn't really say much. We had planned our honeymoon to be from the 3rd of January till the 12th of January so that we could hold Christmas and New Year's with our families. And the temperature is better in January for skiing trip. We held Christmas at my husband's parents, and it was really nice. We then spent New Year's with some of our friends. My sister did not speak to me at all since the wedding. She did take down the post, though. We went on our honeymoon, and it was so much fun. We both snowboard, though on total different skill levels, him being just a tiny bit better. My sister called to apologize during the trip, but it really just ended up with her belittling me for kicking her out of the wedding. So, that's fun, I guess. Do I regret kicking her out? Absolutely not. My wedding was so much better after she left. No drama, just a perfect night with the people who I love. Am I mad about the Facebook post? Not really. My mom and dad drag her so hard in the comments that she eventually deleted it. Am I still talking to my sister?
Barely.
She has yet to actually apologize and still acts like I was the unreasonable one. At this point, I'm just letting her stew in her own bad decisions. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the read even though the update is a bit late.